fourth grade. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the economy of the West. So, what is the economy of the West? Well, we have all sorts of different jobs and positions and things which go into the western region of the United States, and different jobs that people work that are completely dependent upon this region. So let's take a look at the economy of the West and what is it. So we know that lumber and minerals are going to be really important to the West. We have ranching and farming, definitely important. Movie making. So out there in California, we have lots of movies that are made in that western region of the United States. But we also have tourism is a huge money business in this region. So let's talk about natural resources. So why do people come to this region of the United States? So it says many settlers come to the West because of the rich natural resources. These natural resources are still providing jobs today. So when gold was discovered in California in 1848, word spread quickly. Thousands of people caught what's known as gold fever and rushed to strike it rich. The same thing happened with silver in Nevada in 1859 and with gold in Alaska in 1898. Mining minerals is still an important part of the economy in many of the western states. Energy resources are important too. Wyoming's most important industry is the production of oil and natural gas. Wyoming is also a leading producer of uranium in the United States. Uranium is what's used to produce nuclear energy. But you also have oil, which is up in Alaska. So what's made of metal, 800 miles wide, and filled with oil? Well, that's the Alaska pipeline, of course. So when oil was discovered in northern Alaska in 1968, experts decided that the best way to transport the oil was by a pipe. So a pipeline was built to carry the oil from the Arctic to the ice-free point of Valdez. From there, ships carry oil to various refineries where the oil is broken down into products such as gasoline. So by land and by sea. So over here's the western region of the United States. It's Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington. So as you've learned, the landforms in the West vary greatly. So how does this affect the economy of the West? Well, some places are going to be good for farming and raising animals, and other places are not going to be as good. So people might have to make a living by fishing or by doing a different industry because the jobs in the West are as varied as the landscape itself. So, have you ever seen a 100-pound cabbage? No? Well, since Alaska is so far north, the summer days can be 20 hours long. With all that sunlight, farmers in Alaska can grow cabbages that are huge. We also know that Alaska has more than 6,000 miles of coast, and they like to do commercial fishing there. So catching and harvesting and selling that seafood can make food processing a really big industry in Alaska. This is going to vary from Hawaii, which has sugarcane and pineapples that are grown in large fields here. So cattle ranching is also an important part of the state's economy. Finally, we also see over here, we have the state of California. So California has a valley area that runs down the middle of the state that produces more fruit, nuts, and vegetables than almost any place on Earth. The fishing industry in Washington and in Oregon is huge. In fact, there's the Pike Place Market where there is a huge fish market for people to go shopping at. We also have Washington and Oregon produce peas, apples, cherries, grapes, and other fruits and vegetables. And then we also have growing potatoes is a $2.5 billion year business in Idaho. That's a lot of French fries. And then eastern Montana, Colorado, Wyoming are grasslands and part of the Great Plains. So Montana is also called Big Sky Country because the land is flat and open, so there's plenty of place to see the sky and to do star watching. So grassland here is perfect for sheep and for cattle. So making it out west. So the economy of the West depends on some of the different natural resources for farming, but it also depends on industries that involve technology and the federal government. So some of the West's natural resources are used to make goods. So pencils, baseball bats, lumbers for houses, and thousands of other things are manufactured from trees that grow in western forests. So Hollywood, California is famous for a special industry. Can you guess what it is? The movie business, of course. And the movie industry employs hundreds of other people besides the stars that you see on the screen. So people write the stories, they create the scenery and the costumes, they style the hair, they put on makeup, they also work the cameras and create computerized special effects and do many other jobs that need to be done in order for a movie to be finished. So the area around San Jose and Santa Clara in California is famous for another big industry, computers. In fact, it has the name Silicon Valley because it's been named for the natural mineral that's been used to make computer chips. Companies in Washington and Utah are leaders in the manufacturing of computers and other high-tech equipment. So today, many people use cell phones, and cell phones depend on something called telecommunications or technology that lets people to send messages and images over long distances. So many people in the West work in the telecommunication industry. We also have the federal government. So the federal government is a big employer in the West. In Hawaii, for example, 1 in 10 people are either members of the Army or the Navy or have family members of someone who is in the military. Almost 2/3 of the land in Utah and more than 3/4 of the land in Nevada are owned by our federal government. The flat deserts are perfect places for testing fast cars, planes, or missiles. Military pilots learn to fly at the military bases located throughout the West. The federal government is the top customer for companies in Utah that manufacture rocket engines. The government also supports scientific research in the West, including monitoring earthquakes and volcanoes and sending robot exploration devices into space. So, volunteering. So in 1989, an oil tanker spilled 11 million gallons of oil into the coast off of Atlanta. The oil stuck to the feathers and fur of thousands of animals and contaminated miles of Alaska shoreline. Volunteers caught and cleaned dirty animals and also helped to wash the shoreline when that happened. So let's take a look at service jobs, okay? And then we'll talk about international trade, okay? So remember all that awesome scenery that we read about? It brings visitors to the West. So in winter, people grab skis and snowboards and hit the snowy slopes of the mountain. In summer, tourists explore the wilderness on foot or on horseback. Tourists also enjoy the beaches in California and Hawaii. So what do all of these vacationing people have to do with a job? Think of things that tourists need or want from a hotel or a room to a restaurant to tour guides. Tourism provides lots of jobs, and in some places, entire towns have sprung up to serve the needs of tourists. We also have national parks. Many of the most beautiful places in the West have been set aside for our national parks. These parks were the work of conservationists or the people who want to protect the wilderness and wildlife. Each year, thousands of people visit national parks in the West. Not only do we have tourism, But trade is another really big industry of the West. So international trade happens when countries buy and sell each other's goods. So why would people buy goods made in another country or products that are made in another country? Well, sometimes those goods and services can only be bought or made in those countries, and sometimes they can be made more cheaply in one country than another. So, for example, bicycles in China can be made cheaper than in the United States. So in 1990, about 6 times more bicycles were made in China than in the United States. So more stores wanted to buy bicycles from China because they were less expensive. So by 2000, companies in China made 52 times more bicycles than countries in the United States. So let's go ahead and take a look at our assignment over here in Buzz. So you'll see that for today, we are looking at people of the West. This should say economy of the West, so that's a typo I have. So when we go into the Module 4 folder and we go all the way down to right here where it says Timelinks region, Western region, we're looking right here at lesson number 2, okay? When we go ahead and open it up, you're going to see things related to the economy. So we've done that reading together, but let's go ahead and take a look at that handout. So this says, hey, looking at this handout, we're going to take a look at products of the West. So it says in the story below, 5 products that are made or raised in the West are mentioned. Can you find them? Read the story, circle the products, then write the 5 products on the numbered list. Write the name of one state that made that product or where it's grown. So you're going to put, here's product number 1. What state was it made in? What was product number 2? What state did it say that that came in? All right. When you're finished 4th grade, you're going to go ahead and submit this to Buzz. Good luck. You got this.